in recognition of your determination in pursuit of a seemingly impossible goal, and for your far-reaching vision to see what no one else saw when you started FedEx nearly 40 years ago, for your strong leadership and management of enormous logistical challenges, and your dedication to your 285,000 team members who help you meet those challenges every day, and for your ongoing global humanitarian outreach to help those who need help most. Frederick W. Smith, it is my honor to present to you the George C. Marshall Foundation Award for 2010.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations. Thank you. That's great. Well, we are going to spend a few moments. The foundation asked me to have a conversation with Fred, and so I've got the kind of tough questions I ask on Fox News Sunday. I'm going to start with whatever happened to that professor who gave you the C. Now,
that was a good grade for me, Chris. I've never been anything but grateful to the man.
Obviously and fortunately, no one must now deal with the extraordinary challenges that Marshall faced, first winning a world war, rebuilding Europe, saving Western civilization. But what do you think are the lessons from Marshall that we can apply today?
Well, I think Marshall had some truly unusual traits well ahead of his time. I mean, remember, this is a man that was not particularly sophisticated prior to World War I in terms of global matters. He went to France as part of the American Expeditionary Force. But he clearly understood, as few others did, possibly Cordell Hull, a great Tennessean, would be in this group, the tremendous integration of the world and how modern communications and transportation were making it a very small place, and it would be impossible for the United States to simply remain isolationist and on the side. And from the time World War I ended until World War II began, Marshall deliberately set out to create a group of officers in the U.S. Army that would be capable of projecting force around the world and going overseas and prevailing. And I think, you know, to think of his VMI education and then so forth, and then he grasped all this and does all of these things, that's the kind of far-sighted leadership I think the country needs, is to look over that horizon and see what needs to be done.
Well, which brings me exactly to the question I was going to ask you next, which is this ability, and I talked about it in my remarks, to see around the corner in 1938, to understand that an army of 175,000 was grossly undermanned, and to start building that long before we got involved in World War II. How is it possible to consciously develop this mindset so that you not only can deal with the problems that are right in front of us, but also the situations that don't even exist yet?
I think some people just see things that others don't. There was a great professor at your alma mater, I hate to say it, Rosabeth Moss Kanter, and Professor Kanter used to describe it as kaleidoscope thinking, that you look at something and it's a pattern, and then you turn the kaleidoscope and it's another pattern and it's meaningless, and all of a sudden you turn the kaleidoscope and there you see something that nobody saw before. I mean, clearly, lots of people fit into that category. I mean, Steve Jobs, you see it, you know, with the products that he's come out with, and Bill Gates and so forth. I just think that General Marshall in his field was able to synthesize all of those things that he learned in France and the experiences that he had in the Army to understand the great crisis that was ahead and to prepare for it uniquely. And for those who don't know it, he ran the Army school at Fort Benning, and I think at Leavenworth too, and he compiled a list of officers that he felt in time of emergency would be the ones that he should promote if he were put in that position. And he was put in that position, and he did promote them with fantastic success over the heads of many, many other officers who were seniors to the ones that had impressed him. So he was able to see that, however it came about.
Well, you talk about this cadre of officers. They were known as Marshall's men, and they were about 200 officers that he trained at Fort Benning and then put in positions of tremendous responsibility to exercise his strategy. As the head of a global enterprise with 285,000 employees, how do you identify leadership, and then how do you transmit a message and a mission so that they will implement your strategy?
Well, I think there are three kinds of people who are in positions of authority or potential authority. One are people who basically should not be put in positions of leadership. And that doesn't mean they're bad people. They may be great individual contributors, great scientists, whatever the case may be, but their particular skill sets don't lend themselves to the management of or leadership of people. Then I think the second group of people are people that can be taught to be effective leaders. And the Army and the Marine Corps and many other institutions understand exactly what those traits are that are necessary for someone to be an effective leader or manager. And they can train people to do that, and we do that at FedEx in what we call our Leadership Institute, and we produce many, many very effective people through those systems. And it's not a mystery as what you need to do. You simply have to make sure that the person has the traits that allow them to do that. And we have a process that does that, as do all these other institutions. But then there's a third category. And the third category is the transformational leader. That's the person that has that, whatever it might be, on top of those fundamental leadership skills that are able to coalesce people around a vision, a common set of goals, to inspire them, to get them to go on a common journey together. And I think that's a very rare thing, and I think Marshall had an extraordinarily keen eye for it, and that's why he was able to see the Eisenhowers and the the Bradleys and the people that he put in charge of the war effort. He was also smart enough to know that there are, in that second group of people, some real characters that perhaps can't be transformational in the broader sense, but in terms of a particular mission, they are without peer. And I think that's why he agreed with Eisenhower on Patton to put him back into the fight. So he just had that capability, and I think a lot of other people have that I've seen in life, but Marshall almost uniquely. I think Joe Gibbs had a lot of that capability, and it's very similar to a football coach in knowing those people that can truly be the difference makers. That's a skill set that it's clear every Saturday and Sunday is not held by, is not part of every coach's makeup. But there are certain ones that fit that category.